Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and through you to the members, I rise today in support of House Bill 4178. In my capacity as House Vice Chair of the Joint Committee on Elder Affairs, I was glad to work on this effort in the last legislative session and to file the underlying bill this session with Chair Stanley. I am indeed grateful and inspired by the leadership of the gentleman from Waltham and the inclusive process he embraced as he guided the effort to craft this bill, building on the work of the committee over many sessions. I thank his staff, Mark Phillips, Joe Russo, and Juliana Fernandez, and my former and current legislative aides, Julia Germani and Haley Tobin, respectfully for their work. Echoing Chair Stanley's sentiments, I extend my sincerest gratitude to you, Mr. Speaker, for making this legislation a priority. After the very first Democratic caucus of this session, you identified the issue as front of mind for needed attention by this body. My thanks to you and your team, as well as to the gentlemen from the North End and Watertown, Chairs Michaelwitz and Lawn, for their expert review and refinement of this legislation. No group endured more loss and hardship during the pandemic than our older residents, and by extension, the workforce and families who care for and about them. Nursing home resident deaths account for roughly 1/4 of all COVID deaths in Massachusetts. In April 2020, I heard from a Melrose constituent whose father-in-law, living in a skilled nursing facility, was one of those early victims. She and I discussed the failure of staff observed over FaceTime to wear available PPE, the lack of communication regarding her father-in-law's well-being, the family's concerns about his isolation and its impact on his physical health, and the facility's apparent inaccurate data reporting to DPH. In our correspondence, I committed to working toward enhanced data sharing requirements for nursing homes, continued prioritization of these facilities for PPE, rigorous infection control protocols, and enhanced state oversight. Today, I am humbled to vote for a bill that makes good on that promise. Even before the pandemic, this legislature acknowledged the imperative of right-sizing the skilled nursing facility ecosystem. Our demographics demanded, with an average of 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day in the United States. The recommendations of the Nursing Facility Task Force established by this legislature are reflected in the bill before us, and its provisions, including those that address the suitability of owners and management companies, needed workforce supports, and the quality of care standards. Chairs Stanley and Lawn have provided a robust overview of the many reforms that will improve the Commonwealth system for long-term care for the aging population, working to enhance agency health, dignity, and protections for all stakeholders. I would like to highlight one component of the bill that reflects our commitment also to informed innovation, namely the statutory codification of the Small House Nursing Home Initiative. Small house nursing homes have emerged in recent decades as an alternative to our traditional hospital-like nursing facilities. They offer residents a home with a kitchen, dining and living area, and outdoor space. Up to 14 residents in a small house nursing home will enjoy these communal spaces as well as private bed and bathrooms. In countless other stages of life, we acknowledge the importance of innovation and choice. Think, for example, of our public education system. We afford families options to enroll students in charter schools, vocational technical schools, agricultural schools, virtual schools, and pilot schools. Compare that to the current one-size-fits-all approach in the skilled nursing facility space. When I was in high school, my grandfather, who lived alone on his 200-acre farm in Southwest Virginia into his 80s, had a stroke. After hospital stays and rehabilitation, he came to live with my family. My family's dining room was converted into his bedroom. A hospital bed replaced the table that previously hosted our special meals. Our kitchen became a makeshift pharmacy with mortar and pestles available to grind the medicines that we administered by feeding tube. My mother and her sister did not want him to remain in what felt like an impersonal, isolated, and sterile nursing home environment. If a small house nursing home or another residential model had been an option, I expect it would have been much more attractive. That may also be true for my constituent who lost her father-in-law 3.5 years ago. There is a growing body of evidence demonstrating that small house nursing homes provide superior clinical outcomes for their residents. Our legislation will usher in a better licensure process for them, offering our aging population greater choice and agency in their living arrangements. To close, we owe our older adults tremendous credit for their contributions to society. As our population ages, House Bill 4178 offers critically needed reforms to prioritize their quality of life and quality of care. I urge you to vote for an act to improve quality and oversight of long-term care. Thank you.